Hello, welcome to Steve McDonald's Arts and Crafts, and today I'm going to be looking at how to clean and store your silicone moulds that you use for resin. If you don't look after them, they're not going to last as long as you want them to, and they're not cheap, so you want to get as long a life out of them as possible. Hit that subscribe button and also hit that like button. Don't miss out on future videos and all the tricks and tips that I give. So I've got a selection of moulds here, and some of them I've used acrylic paint in, and others just need cleaning. One of the biggest issues with your silicone moulds is if you use a torch on them, then the likelihood is you are going to get this sticking to it. Now, I am a bit of a for using a torch on mould. I know I shouldn't, and I do end up ruining a lot of my moulds. There we go, that one's ruined. So what I've gone over to using now is a long necked lighter, and I find that that doesn't do as much damage to the mould. Now, I have been told so many times by so many people, why don't you spray a mist of alcohol over them? Well, that does get rid of bubbles. Alcohol mist is not only really dangerous for your lungs, so you must be wearing a mask while you're doing it, but it also fills your room with a really flammable gas. And do you know what? I don't want to take that risk. It's just not worth it for me. I do use alcohol and I do use alcohol inks, but I'm not going to be misting it. It's really not good for you. But the best thing is to try and mix without getting any bubbles in the first place. And if you want to know how I do that, then check out the video at the end of this video. I'll link it. What happens when you demold them? Inevitably, if you're messy like me, you will get bits that are stuck to it, like here, and in other places. So you need to get that off because you don't want that in your next lot of resin. The other thing that can happen is if you don't look after your resin molds properly, I don't know if you can see that mold, it's started to degrade now and things really do stick to it. It's difficult to demold. Now, this mold has been used an awful lot, and I have to be honest, I am guilty of using it, quickly giving it a wipe over, using it again, quickly giving it a wipe over, using it again, then it's not being taken care of. But this mold is coming very much to the end of its life. And the same with this mold here, gone very dull and flat now in the middle there. It's because, again, I've been using it over and over and over again, this heart mold, without taking care of it. And now I'm going to show you what you can do to take care of it to stop that happening. When I demold my resin from the mold, I then want to clean that mold. Don't use alcohol to clean your molds because it's going to damage your mold really quickly. You're going to get a lot less life out of it. And also, it really does take the shine off it. So one of the first things that I will do is I will always make sure I've got a pack of baby wipes. Baby wipes are really important around the studio because you can use them for so many different things, which includes getting resin off your skin, wiping up mess, and wiping out sticky residue. First thing I do is I get a bit of tape. So let's take one of the molds with quite a bit. Look, there's quite a lot around this mold here. I'm not sure if you can see that. And what I'll do is first I'll try the normal sticky tape and see if that will get it off. I'll just push it down and pull it up. And it has got some off, as you can see, there is some on there. Now, normal sticky tape isn't as sticky as the packing tape. Never use duct tape, because duct tape will leave a residue of sticky on your mold that is really difficult to get off. There we go. So that's got off those stubborn little bits. And any other little bits that I can't get off, I will just go round and push it into the mold like so, and it gets them off. So that's got all that residue off the outside of that mold. There might be some little bits on it that I haven't seen, so I'll just go over it quickly like so. And there we go. That's nice and clean, but it's not finished. I'll show you the next step in a second. The other thing is I often use acrylic paints and things in my molds. When I use acrylic paints, I use lots of different techniques to use them, and that can also leave some residue of acrylic paint and resin mixed in. Now, I do tend to, again, as you can see, use the tape for this. I'll just push it in the mold. It will come out and clean them up nicely. So that's how I get dirt and things off of a mold that has got bits left on them. Now, regarding these molds that are damaged, there is nothing you can do about those. If you're having trouble getting something out of a mold, it's really stuck in there quite hard, then my advice is, rather than yanking it out, which is what I did there, because I'm impatient. If you soak the whole thing into some quite hot water, not boiling, but hot water, then it will soften up the resin enough to allow you to get that out. Additionally, I have used the freezer technique where I've popped it in the freezer for 10-15 minutes, and then it has helped me demold it, and it is less likely to catch. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to finish off cleaning off this mold. Once I've done that, I will take a baby wipe and I will go over my mold, getting any other bits off that I can get off. Now, baby wipes are really soft. They're not going to damage your mold. Avoid using things like kitchen paper and rubbing your molds hard with it, because it will take the shine off and damage those molds. So as you can see, this mold is damaged anyway, and it is still shiny even though it's an opaque mold. So if I take a bit of kitchen roll and I rub in the middle there, and I think, oh, I'm going to dry this and use it for my mold, what you will find is, I'm not sure if that's picked it up or not, that then dulls the surface of that mold, and it's really hard to get a good shiny finish. And if you do that in just one bit of your mold, then what you'll find is when you demold it, you'll have a bit that isn't as shiny as the other. So once I've gone over it with the baby wipes, like so. So then what I'll do is I'll take a bowl of warm soapy water, not boiling hot, not hot, just warm enough to put your hands in it nice and comfortably. And I do it in a bowl because I don't want anything going down the sink, and I also don't want anything that's in the sink to contaminate. It could have been bleach or cleaning products in the sink prior to using it. So I always use a bowl that I keep in my studio just for using with my resin products. So what I'll do is I'll pop these into the soapy water and I'll leave them to soak for about 10 minutes in there. While that's soaking in there, I'm going to quickly show you how I do my silicone jugs, because it's really important to clean your silicone jugs out well, because they last a long time, and also you don't want bits in your resin when you're mixing your resin. What I'll do is I'll pull the bit out because it's silicone so they don't stick, and then I will just turn them inside out, and I'll give them a bit of a rub with my hands and get any bits off. Now, I'm not worried if this stays shiny or not. This is quite an old jug because I'm not going to cast in this, but what I do want is I want it to be as clean as possible, and as you can see, there's quite a lot already come off that. So what I'll do with that is I will take my packing tape and I will wrap that round my silicone jug quite tightly, and then I will squeeze over that and rub it between my hands. I don't want to damage it, but I'll take a pair of scissors and then I will pull that off, and as you will see, it will get the vast majority off. Now, if this wasn't such an old jug, this would have come out really clean, but this is getting to its end of its life. But I don't like chucking things away, so I do get as much use out of them as I possibly can. So in the water it goes. The other thing is, I always work on a silicone mat, and I think silicone mats are really important. They're easy to clean, it's easy to see spills on. And again, I clean these using a baby wipe. Now, I tend to give these a bit of a wash as well at the end, and then I hang them on the washing line for a few minutes to allow them to drip dry. So it's quite easy. If you've got bits on there like there, you can just ping them off with your nails. And I will just give this a bit of a once over because it's normally the background to my video, so I want it to be as clean as possible. So once those molds have been soaking for about 10 minutes, what I'll do is I will give them a bit of a wash. Now, I will use this green sponge, but I won't use this side of it. I'll only actually use the sponge side of it. And I'll just go in the water, and I'll make sure it's wet, and I will just go over this to ensure that it's got as clean as I can possibly get it and all the bits are off it. And then once I've washed them up, I then lay them on a tray that I've put a tea towel on to allow them to dry in the air naturally, like this. I'm going to show you how to store them and protect them as well, because there is a technique to this that will make your molds last a lot longer, because too much exposure to air will dry out your mold and cause it problems as well. Now, don't store your baking molds like this, because if you're using a mold to bake with, the last thing you want to do is store it slightly damp or seal it, because you could get some mould in there. But I don't find that happens with the resin moulds, and you'll see why in a second. They're starting to dry on that cloth. I'll just cover them up because I don't want any more dust and things to get in them. I'll push it down and then I'll give that a while to dry, and then once it's dry, then I'll show you how I store them. If, like me, you're a little bit impatient and you find that some of the soapy water doesn't get out of the moulds in the corners, then what you can do is you can take a cotton bud like so and just go round the edges of your mould and get out any bits and pieces. It also helps you get out any of those stubborn little bits of glitter or mica powder that stick into the corners. So when storing your silicone moulds, it's important to ensure that they're completely dry before you go to store them. The things that I use before I put them into my storage are, I use a silicone release spray and I use Ziploc bags. And I will put a link to everything that I use in this video in the description below, so you can just click on those links and find the stuff really, really easily. So once you've got your moulds clean and everything's ready and they're nice and dry, this is what I do to protect them and store them. Now the jug, all I will do is I will turn that back in the right way and I will store it upside down like that on my shelf. So now these are nice and clean, I want to get the most out of these. And what I do is I take some silicone mould release, I give it a bit of a shake, I give it a quick spray over the mould and then put it to one side for a few seconds. And I'll do that with all my moulds that I'm storing. And this I've found really does help keep them preserved. The other thing is, I do recommend every time you're going to do any casting, give a quick spray, let it sit for about 30 seconds before you pour, and then pour. What you'll find is your silicone moulds will release so much easier, and also it will extend dramatically the life of your silicone moulds. What I'll do now is I will store these in Ziploc bags. I will pop the mould into the Ziploc bag like so. Then I will squeeze as much air out of it as I can get, like that. And then I will just do up the Ziploc and I will leave it like that. And always put only one mould in a bag. You don't want moulds sitting on top of moulds, and you want to keep your moulds as flat as possible, because if you roll them up or bend them up, what you'll find is in storage, they will then take on that shape and it's virtually impossible to get the shape back that you want. It's okay to do it for a little while if you're traveling or things like that, but not permanent storage or for storage over a few weeks. And what you'll find is they're not going to dry out, because silicone can dry out. They're not going to get as fragile, and you will get a lot more use out of them. It will make your moulds last a lot longer. You will get better castings out of them, and it will save you money in the long run as well. And please enjoy the bloopers. The reason I'm doing this type of video today, it's far too hot for me to get on with any resin work, and I've asked her. The reason I'm doing this sort. The reason I'm... What is the reason? I clean... Oh, this camera. Once those modes have been... Hit that subscribe button and the like button now, so you didn't miss out. Don't forget, check out this video next at the end of this video to show you... I can't remember what it was I was going to do. What was I going to do? What was I going to say? Oh, no. What was I going to say? What was I going to say? How could I not remember that? Oh my God! You've got the memory of a fish, a goldfish. Bop, 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 bop. Do you know, if anyone was in it, if anyone was in here while I was doing all this, they'd have me committed, I'm sure they would. Oh, what was I doing? Oh, yeah. Oh, I need to drive moulds. I'm sure people must... my videos aren't slick anyway, but I'm sure people must really think I'm not right. They probably don't realise that. Everyone makes... And now for our English-speaking viewers, this is what I'm trying to say. boop, 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 boop. Hopefully this video won't get any nasty comments. I don't know why people have to give nasty comments. Why do people give nasty comments? I'm only trying to help. It's free after all. Boop, 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 boop. Oh, don't forget to turn the camera back on. Right, turn the camera on. Oh. I haven't turned the camera off. For God's sake. What I do recommend is that you use the silicone spray Oh, it's just going wrong today. If you'd like to see additional videos and additional tips and tricks, check out my Patreon account. Thank you to all my patrons whose names will be coming up soon. I really do appreciate your support, and these things really help me keep this channel going. It's really appreciated. Check out the video coming up on the screen next. It will show you how to mix without getting bubbles.